Hi YouTube, welcome back to the channel. So let's get straight into this video. Let's talk about how you're the one for the job if you're a chosen one. So if you're watching this video, you probably already know that you have a purpose by God. You feel like you have a calling. It's like undeniable proof that you have a calling from God. And if you don't know yet or you're kind of doubting it, let this be your confirmation that you do have a calling from God. You are chosen by God. So what I mean by you're the one for the job is that you're the only one that could do that thing that God has called you to do. This is why you are a person that's just different. This is why you're a person that speaks different, moves different, has different things, sees the world differently, right? A person that has discernment, a lot of intuition, emotional sensitivity, right? You're maybe someone who's empathetic, maybe someone that's able to read the room really well. You may be someone that has just a lot of inner strength. Like you're someone that just has a lot of power inside of you, and this is what makes you chosen, right? Because God already gave you everything about yourself to do that. This is why you're the one for that job. This is why you've been getting attacked throughout your whole life. The enemy's been trying to enslave you your whole life, right? Whether that's mentally, whether that's emotionally, whether that's financially, whether that's through drugs, whether that's through whatever type of stress. You've probably had this feeling to where you've been kind of like this caged lion your whole life, right? You have these ambitions, you have these dreams, you have this urge to be free, you have this urge to make a change in the world, but the world's been trying to keep you enslaved, kind of in a cage, like a lion, right? Like a lion at the zoo or a tiger at the zoo. Because they know once you let loose, right? You let loose into the wild, you're gonna make a change. You're gonna cause an impact, right? You're gonna make noise. You're gonna mark your territory pretty much. And what I mean by mark your territory is you're not gonna go out in the world and conform and listen to what other people say and be a little person, right? And follow the rules and do all these things. No, you're gonna go out into the world like a lion, right? You're gonna take over. You're gonna take over things. And the enemy knows this. This is why the enemy knows that if you are to be free, if you are to be freed, which you will be freed in Jesus' name, right? It's already in the Bible. Who the Son sets free is free indeed. You will be freed if you're not freed already. But the enemy knows that once you're freed, you're going to make a huge impact. Because you already make an impact regardless throughout your day-to-day life, even speaking to strangers, right? Like you could have spoke to strangers thinking the conversation was normal, but all of a sudden that stranger became really inspired and like looks at you like you're like an alien or something, and you're just like, did I say something wrong? And they're like, no, I mean, how do you know all this stuff, right? So you're someone that already makes this impact. You have a lot of wisdom, a lot of knowledge. And just like the caged lion or tiger that you are, you're able to find a little crack in that cage, right? And get yourself out of there. This is why you're faced with so many different challenges. This is why you're faced with a lot of things that seem like they're just trying to constrict you and put you down and enslave you. Because that's the only way a lion or a tiger will stay in one place, is if they have no other way out, like they're stuck into a cage. And that's who you are. You're pretty much a caged lion or a caged tiger at the zoo, right? And they know the more the enemy pushes you, the more vicious you start to get, the more aggressive you start to get, the stronger you start to get, the more intelligent you start to get, the more ruthless you try to get in a good way. The you get a lot better, right? You kind of go through this thing to where if you've been kind of stuck for a long time, like you're stuck in that cage for a long time, you start to rapidly develop, right? Your mind starts to go through many different types of places, and you just end up conquering every single thing that's trying to enslave you, whatever these things could be, right? Whether they're addictions, whether they're mental, whether it's financially, right? You're in that cage and you're able to beat every single one of these things. This is why they're thrown at you, and this is why God lets that happen, because he knows that you have the power to get through it, because you have God on your side, but you also have a whole lot of strength to you. You also have You're also the one that can do it. You're the one for the job, right? You're not the one to perish when you're in that cage. You're not the one to accept that. You're not the one to just stay there and be like, okay, this is my fate. No, you're the one that's going to fight your way out, right? By any means. Or you're either going to fight or you're going to die trying. So that's how you are. This is what makes you a fighter. You have a warrior spirit to yourself. Like a lion, right? Like a lion's fighting to the death. It doesn't matter who he's fighting. Even if it's 6 hyenas versus 1 lion, the lion's still fighting. That's you. Even if it's spiritual attacks from every single angle, you're still fighting, right? And you always end up winning. You end up winning every time because God is the conqueror, right? So you end up conquering every single thing. So no matter what happens, you always end up winning. This is why they get thrown at you so much, because just like when a warrior goes to battle, they're going to get a lot of wounds, a lot of scars, a lot of things trying to entrap them, a lot of things trying to kill them, right? But the warrior is beating all of them. And that's you. And just know if you're watching this video, your life is a spiritual war. It's like a spiritual world war. And you may have thought you were crazy at first because this has been happening since you were young. But things have always just been a lot more difficult for you. While at the same time, you know that you're very capable, right? You already know that you're a capable person. You have pretty much the ability to be skillful at anything that you want. You know that you're a capable person. You know that you're a strong person, a knowledgeable person. But for some reason, things are keeping you stuck. Like you can't get things moving. You might start to go one way and you can't accomplish anything in that realm. Then you go another way and you just keep getting like pushed back and pulled back, and like things keep coming up and things are trying to break you. Things are trying to stress you out. Things are trying to get you to stop, right? Get you to stop and just be normal and don't speak about any of this. Don't seek to free anyone. Don't spread any knowledge. Just keep you quiet, right? And depressed. But you can't keep a lion depressed in a cage, right? The lion's going to be pacing back and forth, figuring a way how to get out of there, right? Or a tiger is going to be pacing back and forth through that cage, fighting its way through anything, right? Any way to get out of that cage. And that's how your life is throughout, like ever since you're young. That's how your life has been, and you will be freed. This is confirmation. You will be freed, right? Because God is a God of freedom, and God knows what's happening in your life. Whether you believe this or not, God does know what's happening in your life. This is why you get solutions for anything that's going on through your life, right? You end up getting inspiration. All of a sudden, you end up somehow knowing how to fix something, somehow knowing how to do something, somehow knowing how to say the right thing, say the exact right thing for a certain situation. Somehow you make the right move at the right time for whatever the situation is, whether that's like financially or whatever. You just coincidentally make the right moves all the time. And they're not coincidental. They come from God, so they get into your spirit. And because you're chosen, you're someone that listens to your spirit, right? You think with your head and you think with your heart too, but you listen to that spirit. So you may have something come up in your spirit to where you're like, hey, I'm gonna, go do this certain thing. And people might look at it as weird, but you just follow your intuition and do it. And then all of a sudden that thing that you did worked out. That's the thing that you're supposed to do. So the moral of the story is you're the one for the job. You're the man for the job. You're the woman from the job, right? You're chosen by God. You're pretty much employed by God, right? You're doing His purpose for His glory. And that purpose is, of course, going to come with a lot of struggling, right? You're going through spiritual warfare because the enemy knows, the God of this world, who is the devil, the enemy knows that you're not someone that he wants freed. You're not someone that he wants freed at all, because once you're freed, you're going to make a huge impact into the world. You're going to change things up. You're going to get people out of their ways of thinking, out of their spiritual warfare, out of their sin, out of their whatever it is. You're going to get people out of wickedness and into righteousness, right? You're going to pull people out of slavery and free people. This is what you do. And the devil wants people in slavery, right, into their own sin, which is slavery. The devil wants people in their lust, in their greed, in their pride, fighting each other, being on drugs, having no mind, right? Losing their mind, fighting each other, being divided and everything. That's all the enemy wants. But you're someone that's the complete opposite. You bring union to people. You bring wisdom to people. You seek to get people free, because your natural urge is to be free, right? This is why your life feels like this cage to you, because it is like a cage to you, because you're not supposed to be enslaved. You can't be enslaved, right? So by any means, you're going to get out of that cage. So that's why the enemy throws all these daggers at you, throwing all these things at you, and there's many different weapons the enemy uses. There's many different forms of spiritual warfare, right? Whether that's attacking your mind, or you start to, all of a sudden you start to be in a depressed mood, or you're incredibly anxious or something, or you start to have like doubtful thoughts, or like your self-esteem gets hit, your confidence gets hit, your strength starts to waver, your faith starts to waver, right? Just wants to cripple you and weaken you, so you don't do that, so you don't make that impact. But just know it won't work out. All those things have always just made you stronger, as annoying as they are, as high the amount of suffering you've had in your life. You've had a lot of suffering in your life if you're watching this video. But when you look at your life right now, you don't look anything like what you've been through. You've made it out of every single challenge that you've had. Everything has always worked out for you, whether you believe that or not. Everything has worked out for you, and everything will end up working out for you, right? Because everything in God's timing. So you have to be patient. You have to be steadfast, right? Long suffering is a gift of the Holy Spirit to just constantly keep going through the suffering, keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going. So it's this marathon, right? But you're the person for that job. Nobody else can do it. The amount of pressure that you've been put under, it feels like the world's just falling on your shoulder, would break any other person. But God gives his hardest battles to his strongest soldiers, right? So he's not going to give these hard battles just to anyone. He's going to give them to the one that knows will conquer these battles. That's why it's been so difficult for you, because you're the strong one. You're the lion, right? You're the vicious one. You're the aggressive one. You're the one that by any means you're going to go through it. You're going to beat it. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Of course, don't forget to like. Don't forget to comment anything below. And also, if you're not subscribed already, don't forget to subscribe. All right, God bless you guys, and I'll see you in the next video.